Greetings and salutations, friends, countrymen, Romans. Welcome to the Reading Epic Threads live stream pre-show, 7:48 p.m. Central Standard Time, June 16th, 2021. Before you ask, I am at a friend's house. We are doing a movie marathon, so I am broadcasting from an alternative location. But I'd just like to go ahead and say hello to everybody. Mark Conway, Epic Jill, Carla Burton, J.C. Bird. I want to open with a huge thank you to J.C. Bird for the very generous super chat from yesterday. Thank you so much, J.C. Bird. It is enormously appreciated. Susan O'Leary, Family of Light. Haven't seen that name before. Welcome. President Zach, Norma Wong, Eddie Pizzle, Richard Rohrer, Nola Agent. How's everybody doing today? So nice to see everybody. We got a great show for you today. Got a nice long Arizona update. William Lampkin, nice to see you. Antiquity Car, and we will be talking about all the good news that's coming in. Susan the Cracked Egglet is here. Michelle Miller, how are you? So what do you say that we start off with a little teeny poem from Claude Bernardin, Apple for the Teacher. Yesterday, I had to stop watching Bradley's bearded blather because, frankly, I wasn't getting much. Hell, I actually miss Dan Rather. I mean, Victor is a wizard that wafts so poetically, but Saul hurts my ears and my conscience almost daily. So I'm back to turning on the news, to the entertainment of the FBI TV, but it's missing a bit of Dragnet and Ephraim Zimbalist to some degree. See, it's bad theater, a circus show, Three's Company meets Rocky Horror, and Gilligan's Island to me. So, pass me a cold one and Redenbacher's popcorn. Let's hope season 2 includes that bearded, blue-faced guy in horns. Now, Mr. Vladimir Putin, he seems to love season 1 too. In fact, he asks, who ordered that riot? And who shot who? What a great picture show that day, that January night, it took actor Chris Ray to save Mike Pence's life. But he's not quite Dirty Harry or smirky James Spader or William Shatner. He never seems to arrest a soul that any of us dislike. Episode 1, the Russia hoax. Episode 2, how to change the vote. Episode 3, the Wuhan flu, and that was all she wrote. Episode 4, can we make an insurrection float? Episode 5, a second impeachment's coming because we control the vote. Hey, Netflix, just keep the scripts coming. A few more dark dramas from Adam Schiff and Pelosi's got another false flag. Hold on to your seats, folks. Oh, what if Babbitt was in drag? Season 3 is a bit like Blacklist. Raymond Reddington equals Trump. Will we ever find Pelosi's laptop? Maybe that's what's in that trunk? Or were they fraudulent ballots? And what of all our money on Italian ships and pallets? I know. Let's bring in an evil doctor and put the whole world in a funk. Let's change every computer in the world, but blame it all on Trump. I hear this great philosopher, oh, he waxes long, while Saul just rambles on and on about Biden and his dogs. I see no ending, and I thank the Lord. Seriously, do we ever really want one? Come on, hurry, turn off the lights. We'll impeach him again. Let's do a whole season on Putin and Biden. I'm okay with nearly all of it, but AOC is not Marianne. Is Donald Trump the professor? The man with the plan? I know a guy. He's a great cameraman. His dad was CIA. I'm talking John Sullivan. A concerned millennial, a crisis supporter, Antifa all the way. Let's put him with the FBI and let them all go play. We'll hope for Ginger, the skipper, and Gilligan maybe. He could replace Chris Ray. Here's hoping Senator Kennedy has some colorful quips left to say. Yes, I had to leave Beard Blather, Quadvirum, and the gang. They claim the FBI are good old boys. Guys, I need clues, not this pompous, metaphoric think tank. QAnons are just. The platypuses pee. It is known that Trump pees, therefore Trump is a platypus. Great syllogism, oy vey, oy vey. So you QAnons, begone from here with your conspiracies and shtick. Yes, I think I'll stick to CNN and the FBI's mindless propaganda control. It tells me almost everything, or what they'll let me know. So pass me on another beer, a candy bar, and those 2 remotes. Oh, here's hoping for that Durham report. And leave Statier and Waldorf to their Muppet heckling and cantankerous retorts. Another masterpiece from Claude. Thank you so much, sir. I felt my Saul accent kind of going in and out there. This isn't easy. Let me get that over to Epic Jill. Welcome to Beard Blather. I am the dumbest fuck, alcoholic scumbag you have ever heard the voice of in your whole life. So I'm assuming everybody has watched the Ivory Hecker stuff. Frodo Tolkien, what's up? Has everybody checked that out? It's worth it in a big way. Fucking Mary Doe calling me out. Saul turned Scottish. Yeah, he turned Scottish as hell. I don't know what the hell was going on there. Accent goes in and out. All right. So we're just about ready to do the. What do you call it? The Arizona update, and it's a long one. We also are waiting for St. Richie to send me part 2 of the Oracle finale. So that's going to be a big one, but we'll get there. And I just wanted to say thank you for everybody being here. And I want to read you a quick story from Laura before we get going. And this will get us up to the 8 o'clock hour. This is called, the title of this email is God is So Good, from Laura. A man from Norfolk, Virginia called a local radio station to share this on September 11th, 2003, 2 years after the tragedies of 9/11. His name was Robert Matthews. These are his words, quote, "A few weeks before September 11th, my wife and I found out we were going to have our first child. She planned a trip out to California to visit her sister. When it was time for the trip, on our way to the airport, we prayed that God would grant my wife a safe trip and be with her. Shortly after I said amen, we both heard a loud pop and the car shook violently. We had blown a tire. I replaced the tire as quickly as I could, but we still missed her flight. Both very upset, we drove home. I received a call from my father, who was retired NYPD. He asked what my wife's flight number was, but I explained that we missed the flight. My father informed me that her flight was the one that crashed into the Southern Tower. I was too shocked to speak. My father also had more news for me. He was going to help. This is not something I can just sit by for. I have to do something. I was concerned for his safety, of course, but more because he had never given his life to Christ. After a brief debate, I knew his mind was made up. Before he got off the phone, he said, "Take good care of my grandchild." Those were the last words I ever heard my father say. He died while helping in the rescue effort. The joy that my prayer of safety for my wife had been answered quickly became anger. I was angry at God, at my father, and at myself. I had gone for nearly 2 years blaming God for taking my father away. My son would never know his grandfather. My father had never accepted Christ, and I never got to say goodbye. Then something happened. About 2 months ago, I was sitting at home with my wife and son when there was a knock at the door. I looked at my wife, but I could tell she wasn't expecting anyone. I opened the door to a couple with a small child. The man looked at me and asked if my father's name was Jake Matthews. I told him it was. He quickly grabbed my hand and said, "I never got the chance to meet your father, but it is an honor to meet his son." He explained to me that his wife had worked in the World Trade Center and had been caught inside after the attack. She was pregnant and had been caught under debris. He then explained that my father had been the one to find his wife and free her. My eyes welled up with tears as I thought of my father giving his life for people like this. He then said, "There's something else you need to know." His wife then told me that as my father worked to free her, she talked to him and led him to Christ. I began sobbing at the news. Now I know that when I get to heaven, my father will be standing beside Jesus to welcome me, and that this family would be able to thank him themselves. When their baby boy was born, they named him Jacob Matthew, in honor of the man who gave his life so that a mother and baby could live. Please take time to share this amazing story. You may never know the impact it may have on someone. God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. And that's our opener. Of course, I hope, Jill, you will put this in the social media groups. Thank you, Laura, for sending that to me. Thank you very, very much. Now, before I begin with the Arizona update, I would like to shill for shekels. Angelpaste.com. Promo code Shapiro, my friends. Good stuff. Very good stuff. Food-grade plant oils made by a cosmetic surgeon's assistant for the purpose of aftercare. None of the poisons and crap that big corporations use when they make lotions to maximize profit, because they don't care about your skin. Angelpaste.com. It's got what skin craves. All right, what do you say we get moving and go to the Arizona update? All right. Hey, PN102 points out, it puts the angel paste on its skin. It does what it's told. Promo code Shapiro. There we go. All right. Oh, Barbara made it for eczema. All right, rock and roll. I thought she made it for scar maintenance. Look, guys, I just make up half the shit I say. All right. Juliet, I've heard that testimony before. I could hear it 1,000 times. Awesome. I'm glad Laura sent it to me because I'd never heard it. Ha, look at that. Ken says, spot on with Saul, the man with the worst halitosis this side of the Mississippi River. Ken, that is brilliant. Thank you for letting me add that to my dog pile on the loathsome Saul. Okay, guys. Speaking of the opposite of loathsome, you know what, guys? I think I want to bust out a little Jason who just sent this to me. Guys, we got time, all right? And Jason, whenever he sends me something, I like to get to it quick. So, sorry, Jason, I'm reading it, even though it's not polished. Patrick, I don't have time to write this up in any sort of polished form, but I think we now have sufficient evidence that shows the masks are not merely harmless annoyances, so I want to get the word out to the community to tell their loved ones to refuse to wear the mask, period. Let me see if that light that I just turned on makes me look any better. You guys, is that light good? Do you like that light? I kind of like it too. Makes it easier for me to read too. No, not your cousin, Jason. All right, let's keep going. Over a decade ago, St. Fauci published this article, which identified bacterial pneumonia as the primary killer during the Spanish flu. Of course, he concluded that the flu virus weakened the patients, and then the bacterial pneumonia finished them off. However, we know that their whole theory of invisible demon dust is suspect at best. So let's consider what it might look like if there is no virus and was no virus back in 1918. They scare everyone into believing they need to wear masks to protect themselves from the invisible demon dust. And then when people start dropping dead from bacterial pneumonia, they blame it on their fake virus, and we go round and round. Fauci's articles. Guys, okay, I'm going to click on this article. Let's just make sure this is fucking real. Bacterial pneumonia caused most deaths in 1918 influenza pandemic. All right, let's see. Who wrote this? I just want to make sure we get this right, because I don't think that Fauci wrote this, unless I'm wrong. But this is definitely NIH.gov. So before these filthy little scumbags take it down, why don't we do this? I'm going to share with you guys a trick that I'm going to do. So I'm going to share a, just give me a second, guys. 1 second. So what you do is you go to archive.today. I'm going to share it real quick because this is important, because the NIH is going to take down this article. So what's essential is that we archive it. So we know that the NIH is a criminal organization filled with scum and villainy. So I'm going to go to web page archive. I'm going to share it with you. All right, everybody should see it. Archive.today. It ends up going to archive.ph. And what you do is you say, my URL is alive and I want to archive its content. Bam! Oh, shit. Hang on. Sorry. Wrong one. So I'm going to go to the NIH link that Jason sent me. And to make it so that that link can't be taken down by the absolutely remorseless monsters at the NIH, I click save. Oh shit, somebody already knew to do that because they knew that the skid marks at the NIH would automatically do it. So now I can take this archive and I'm just going to I'm going to post it to Telegram. Well, I'll just email it. I don't know what to do with it. Anyway, I'm going to, I guess, put it in StreamYards. My point is that it takes that URL and turns it into something. Number one, it shrinks it quite a bit. And number two, guys, I mean, it's really, really clear. It's really clear that stuff like that needs to be saved. Okay? So just remember that when you see something that a remorseless mass murderer like Anthony Fauci might want to have deleted, just go and save it. All right, let me continue with Jason's email. Town hall article today about the small study in Florida. Need a larger sample before we conclude anything conclusively, but it all points in this direction. All right, from townhall.com, we have a group of parents sent their kids' face masks to a lab for analysis. Here's what they found. They probably found that the masks were fucking filthy. And I just want to say, all the mask people, and there are many, many of them, I just want you to know, I mean, you're just terrible people. You're just horrifying, stupid, self-destructive skid marks. All right, I don't want to get too worked up about this. And finally, let's not forget what the little weasel said about masks at the outset of this whole psyop before his handlers instructed him to support masks. Yeah, he did have handlers, Jason. Anyway, that's Jason's email. Always extremely welcome. And then, of course, Lisa Gagg sends me an email. Mothers got together and sent masks to a lab after 6.5 hours like their kids wear in school. So Lisa sent me the same thing. I'm going to forward this over to Jill, and hopefully we can get that into the social media groups. It's important. Now, I think that we have a serious cause and effect reversal problem when it comes to germ theory in its entirety, but that makes me a conspiracy theorist's conspiracy theorist, even though I'm fucking right. But nevertheless, if you find epic amounts of bacteria, ooh, wow, I almost ended the broadcast accidentally, guys. I'm out of it. All right, so let's. The moms are going to be. Oh, hang on. The moms are going to be pissed when it comes out. This was all to get rid of President Trump. There's going to be pitchforks and torches. I've been saying that for a while, Richard. I have lots and lots of hope. But what do you say we go ahead and go to Arizona Audit Update for Reading Epic Threads, June 16th, 2021. I get to take my glasses off for this every time because, Among my people is amazing and blows it up. All right, here we go. Maricopa, Arizona audit tweeted, audit update last night. Audit update. Never mind, I have to blow it down. Sorry. All right, here we go. Audit update. Hand count of ballots was completed yesterday with the exception of Braille ballots. The paper examination phase continues, and we are examining over 100,000 ballots per day. Arizona Senator Kelly Townsend posted last night, quote, as the budget is, sorry, you know what, I got to blow it down again. Sorry, just the margins are messed up. All right, it's not so bad. I'm going to put my glasses on anyway. Arizona Senator Kelly Townsend posted last night, as the budget is happening, the election bills will also be going forward. My bill, SB 1241, will have the election integrity and security issues. I'm also adding language to deal with federal-only voters as well. If you have time, please contact your legislators and ask them to support our efforts. 2. Praying Medic is suggesting an interesting viewpoint in his post from last night. Quote, remember when it was disclosed that Obama allowed Hillary to keep SAPs, special access programs, the most top secret shit imaginable, just that's what that is, on her private server, and she sold intel to enemies like China, which allowed them to kill our intelligence operatives? Remember Benghazi? Do you really think the U.S. military has any loyalty to Obama and his puppet Biden? 3. Maddow had a gigantic meltdown. The storm has arrived, extracted 1.5 minutes of it, and wrote, quote, Maddow openly panicking that General Michael Flynn's brother, General Charles Flynn, is in charge of the entire U.S. Army Pacific. The storm thinks her meltdown is just glorious. She is ridiculous and petty, threading baseless claims against patriots, against Trump supporters, making senseless salads of poisoned rumors. She has really become so small, leaning on the word conspiracy theory, which, anyway, becomes so shriveled from overuse. I hope viewers notice her obvious kish-cush-beatism. Kish-cush-beatzim, derogatory Hebrew metaphor for garbage verbiage, which literally translates to scrambled eggs. Where's Mendel when I need him? Integrity, non-existent. Oh, and did you see the meme where Trump waves hi or bye-bye and a mental patient in a straitjacket and in chains is scooting on the ground trying to break out of their misery, yelling in psychosis with Maddow's head posted to it? The subtitle reads, rent-free. The full Maddow meltdown, 13 minutes, can be seen on the Midnight Rider channel. I just want to jump into the chat and tell you guys, I would play that for you right now, but it would guarantee my channel getting taken down. Radical maskers and branch Covidians. Guys, I love this community. You guys are smarter than everybody. You know that, right? Claude Bernardin says she's just a comedian. Mad Cow Meltdown is entertaining. Has anybody seen the Mad Cow Meltdown? Because I didn't watch it. Everything I see of Rachel Maddow is spoon-fed to me by Charles Bernardin. All right, let's keep going. 4. The biggest news in my update is the Tucker Carlson interview with Darren Beattie of Revolver News, who breaks down the involvement of FBI operatives who organized and participated in the January 6th Capitol riot. Tucker Carlson asks Darren Beattie, after reading Darren Beattie's piece about January 6th, which I haven't read, this question, quote, it sounds like the FBI was organizing the riots of January 6th. Darren, yes, it definitely suggests that possibility. And I am hearing from people that this was the most important and darkest investigative piece they've seen in years. But the American people deserve to hear the truth about January 6th, not just for the sake of Ashley Babbitt, not just for the sake of the hundreds of people held in prison unjustly as a violation of human rights, but for the sake of the 70+ million people who are Trump supporters or just against the corrupt ruling class who have effectively been labeled de facto domestic terrorists by our own government. And I believe the key that unlocks the truth to January 6th is the following question. To what extent were the main militia groups imputed to the 1/6 so-called Capitol siege? To what extent was there infiltration of those groups by undercover agents or informants? And to what extent, when we see the unindicted co-conspirators who occupy senior positions in those groups, to what extent are those people being spared prosecution on account of prior relationships with the federal government? Those questions create a thread. And when we pull that thread, the ugly truth of that event, and perhaps even the truth of the country we live in, will be exposed. Tucker asks, there are 14,000 hours of unreleased video footage from that day that the administration is hiding from us. Do you think this is why? Darren Beatty says, I think that is certainly a possibility. It is extremely suspicious. Even going back to the pipe bomber video, the FBI has been extremely suspicious in withholding video evidence that could help identify that bomber, which presumably they want to identify. Darren Beatty then goes on to make a point. After seeing all this, you have to ask yourself, does the national security apparatus do anything but conspire against the American people? I am led to conclude that we cannot have a democracy. Everything in our politics will be fake and performative until we bring the national security state, including the FBI, to heel. It is not a left issue or a right issue. Every politician who cares about our country should demand a Church Committee 2.0. For those of you who don't know, Church Committee, formerly United States Senate Select Committee to study governmental operations with respect to intelligence activities, in 1975 investigated abuses by the CIA, NSA, FBI, IRS, and was chaired by Frank Church, Democrat from Idaho. And Tucker Carlson is saying immediately, and people of good faith on the left should join it immediately. Gateway Pundit published, now we have proof. FBI and DHS attempted to recruit Green Beret to infiltrate Oath Keepers before January 6th riot, and he recorded it. Jeremy Brown is a Green Beret and former Republican candidate for Congress in Florida's 14th Congressional District. Jeremy Brown served in the United States Army from 1992 to 2012 and reached the rank of Special Forces Master Sergeant. Jeremy also attended the Stop the Steal protests in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. Jeremy joined the Oath Keepers in November and went to Washington, D.C. to provide security at the many protests and rallies that week. Last March, Jeremy Brown started speaking out about how the Department of Homeland Security and FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force contacted him and attempted to recruit him to spy on patriots and everyday Americans. The Real Great Awakening posted a piece of an interview Putin had on NBC. Putin just dropped a Moab, blowing off their January 6th narrative. Putin asked the NBC reporter a direct question that baldly stated that an element in the U.S. government hired the shooter who shot Ashley Babbitt on January 6th inside the Capitol building. He crafted his words carefully to deliver the message that political hit job happened in the U.S. on January 6th. George Papadopoulos tweeted, the Russia hoax operation was a setup. January 6th now looks like a setup. This is not a partisan issue. Americans' civil liberties hang in the balance. A commission to investigate these egregious violations and attacks on our institutions should be formed immediately. Il Donaldo Trumpo posted, Federal Bureau of Insurrections. Not Alex Shepard posted, we need a full forensic audit of the FBI. Guys, just abolish it. It's not provided for in the Constitution. It's just a hit squad. It's the domestic CIA. The CIA is the domestic CIA. 5. Ending part 1. Praying Medic posted about the comfort of using Telegram. Quote, I'm digging it here. And I was just informed, thanks Pepper, that Telegram has a blog feature. I published my first article complete with tweets, images, and a video. Seems like it could be used to do research threads. He attached links. Telegraph PH. Huh, cool. All right, guys, ready for part 2? Pretty good. Guys, we're getting close. Part 2 of the Arizona audit. Ooh, boy, teeny. Hang on, I gotta find a way to blow it up. Bam, 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 bam. We in business? All right, I think we're. Hang on. I hope this works because then I can take my glasses off. Nope. I think we're good. All right. Last night, Kanakawa the Great published more on the FBI insurrection based on the Darren Beattie article. Quote, Darren Beattie at Revolver News exposes the events that transpired at the Capitol building on 1/6, which may have to be renamed as the FBI's insurrection in this highly important piece that weaves the similarities between the Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot and the siege at the Capitol. Remember, of the 14 individuals who allegedly plotted the kidnapping of Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, at least 5 were undercover agents and federal informants. The FBI operatives played the most important leadership roles in Michigan. The plot's explosive expert, who the plotters were accused of planning to buy bombs from, turned out to be an FBI agent. The head of transportation for the militia outfit turned out to be an undercover FBI agent. The head of security for the militia outfit turned out to be an undercover FBI informant. In one of the plot's climactic scenes, in the main van driving up to look at Governor Whitmer's vacation home, 3 out of the 5 people in the van, 60% of the plot's senior leaders were federal agents and informants. In other words, the FBI DOJ were central in setting in motion a conspiracy blamed entirely on patriot militia groups. Now, in the case of 1/6 at the Capitol building, there is an unusual volume of unindicted co-conspirators who played significant leadership roles at the Capitol building, often far more egregious and aggressive than those of the persons actually indicted. How many of these unindicted co-conspirators were federal undercover agents or confidential informants, and what roles did they play? Merely passive informants or active instigators? Very early morning, Professor David Clements posted, quote, those of us with platforms all have an origin story. When I first appeared on Tucker Carlson, it was for a video I posted standing up to my university's president that went viral. In part, I called out my university president for rushing to judgment on the circumstances surrounding the Capitol breach, among other things. Though I am still relatively unknown, I have been able to guest on popular shows, offering my legal assessment on the various election law cases that were filed, and later on, provided audit updates. What compelled me to record that initial video, however, had everything to do with my experience in law enforcement. I was dead certain everything about January 6th was wrong and shared what I thought the public could handle without fear, and I was mocked and derided by my colleagues and by some news outlets, but I didn't care what they said because I knew what I was talking about. My certainty was born of experience, namely investigating major crimes, which included watching countless video surveillance tapes, interviewing thousands of witnesses, going to crime scenes, listening to security experts, looking at forensic evidence, attending and participating in active shooter trainings, and educating cops on what they should and should not do. Though I've been a law professor for some time now, I could not help but view everything I observed January 6th through the prism of my former training. Yes, everything about January 6th was wrong, and it was painfully obvious. I even broke down video footage with close friends that were FBI agents. I believe my main contribution these past 8 months has been to reassure everyday God-fearing patriots blessed with common sense that, no, you are not crazy. And yes, there is great evil at work. The revelations of FBI involvement is bittersweet vindication, and more will come to light. The truth always prevails. He also posted George B. Hizzy and Doug Tenapel were both permanently removed from YouTube. This was today that they were removed. These two individuals creatively worked through and around massive censorship to deliver quality updates on election audit efforts to hundreds of thousands of people. They did so with humor, intelligence, and common sense. YouTube is in full-blown panic mode. When you resort to banishing a young 18-year-old black man, guys, he's 18, with natural comedic talent and a comic book artist from your platform, you are desperate. And another from Professor Clements to end part 2, quote, I firmly believe we've achieved critical mass in our efforts to red pill the masses. The deep state is falling apart before our eyes. The deplatforming described above is not new. It has affected everyone who's told the truth. That's why you're on Telegram and a dozen other social media platforms. The American patriot adapts, improvises, assesses the enemy's weak points, and keeps dropping truth bombs day and night, come rain, come shine. We are winning. We have come a long way since November 3rd, 2020. And that's today's audit update. Thanks to Among My People, you really, really make it rule. And if you'd like to support this channel, paypal.me/Bitcoin Armada. So here's the way it looks, guys. I'll be going to Oklahoma, and James MG at Verizon.net, by the way, get your Qcoin from James MG at Verizon.net. James MG says that I should do fundraising for the Oklahoma primary opponent for James Langford. His name is Jackson Laymeyer. I hope I'm pronouncing his last name right. And I will do fundraising for him by taking requests for show tunes. That's what he says. So I don't know. Maybe it's worth it. We'll see. We will see. I'm willing to embarrass myself to get James Langford out of the Senate. Yeah, George B. Hizzy is a patriot. He's freaking funny. He's funny as hell. Delete your YouTube stream. Mermaid Miss K, I delete it every single time afterwards. So Mermaid Miss K wants me to delete it now. I deleted it last night. Ooh, I need to download it from Facebook. Did I not delete last night's? I did. I deleted it. I delete it automatically. And if I didn't, well, shit. I'm not going to delete the RET stream until the end. Here's my thinking. My thinking is very simple. I delete it immediately after I sign off, and that's fine. That should be fine. And guys, I really like the fact that we're in the 140s. So let's just stick with it. And if I lose my channel, fuck it. All right. Ms. Sarah K, nice to see you. I haven't seen that name before. Guys, follow me on freaking Twitch. I'm just saying, it's pretty cool. All right. Jill, I'm just going to leave the Reading Epic Threads stream up. And I'm going to take my chances. And guess what we have right now, guys? We have St. Richie, issue 34, part 2 of the Oracle finale. And I got to tell you guys, I'm pretty excited about this. All right. And I'm going to be doing this, for those of you who missed part 1, I'm going to be taking parts 1 and 2 and making them into a standalone video. So if you're a little bit in the dark as to what's going on here, it's because you missed part 1, and part 1 was a barn burner. Maybe you're going to do a previously on St. Richie little recap at the beginning. We shall see. All right, here we go. St. Richie, issue 34, Apocalypse Never, part 2 of 2. Let's get started. Here are the core topics. The Tytler cycle, Tytler, COVID, 2, 3, elections, 4, technological infrastructure, 5, little gold nugget. 1, the Tytler cycle. All right, here is the, oh, I know this cycle. Okay, yeah, I totally get this. First from faith, then to courage, then to liberty, then abundance, then selfishness, then complacency, then apathy, then dependence, then to bondage. So first you start in bondage, then great spiritual faith, and it just goes around and around. All right. Alexander Tytler, a Scottish historian who lived at the same time as the American founding fathers, who described a repeating cycle in history. He had found that societies went through this same cycle again and again, and that the cycle lasted roughly 200 years each time. Tytler said the cycle starts out with a society in bondage. So, to give a little more on the sequence above, a society starts out in bondage, meaning no or very limited freedoms. Now faced with a very difficult situation, bondage, they turn to religion and faith. Through this, they achieve the courage they need to fight for and win their freedom. Next, through the benefits of freedom, they achieve an abundance in material things. Now we start into the other side of the circle/cycle. We get selfishness and complacency setting in, then we get apathy, and finally dependence. Then we arrive back up at the top with bondage again. Most of Tytler's work has been completely lost. I found this cycle to be very interesting in relation to where we are in the United States today. I believe we are somewhere on the left side of the circle. I think we are somewhere on the dependency track between apathy and bondage. But the goal here is not to ascertain precisely which model we are following, but rather to agree that we're on a track that plays into the hands of those who would enslave us. Donald Trump was put in place to break the cycle. But to break the cycle, he needed to break the people, or at least some of them, for us to first see the cycle and secondly, to change it. There is nothing about that is easy, and there will be casualties, literally and figuratively, because this is a war, and in war, people die. Some of those people are innocent, but that is the reality of war. Nobody in this war was or is more innocent than the president himself, and he's clearly still in the game. So too must you and I stay in the game. 2, COVID. By this point, if COVID is not fake to you, then I must be honest, it should be very easy to be upset at you. I'm not saying that I'm upset at you, but I'm saying that seeing you in such a slumber is upsetting. Masters of the virology universe have supplied not one shred of evidence to support that an actual virus exists, so case closed. Donald Trump recognized this early, but he also recognized that it was not a narrative he could control, which was a brilliant awareness on his part. So what did he do? He did what great leaders always do. First, he aligned himself with some very rich and powerful people, Oracle, who think like he thinks. When I say rich and powerful, I want to make sure we understand what that means. We're talking about people who have riches beyond anything you and I can imagine. Goodness sakes, Larry Ellison owns the Hawaiian island of Lanai. This is not your grandpa's lake house. $300 million. Jeez. So, very early on, as I indicated in a previous issue, Larry Ellison and Trump teamed up to travel the hydroxychloroquine route solely for the purposes of getting on the opposite side of where the WHO and CDC were sitting. Secondly, he did what I thought was an even more brilliant move. He placed the enemies in positions of authority. In other words, he knew, as did Larry, right from the get-go, that this whole thing was a sham and that the virus did not exist. Therefore, any decisions or guidance provided by Fauci or Birx would ultimately not be supported by science because there was no science to support the existence of a virus at all. So, what has happened? Birx and her shawls are completely out of the picture, and Fauci is pretty much enemy number one and is to blame for this entire disaster. Meanwhile, the other enemy, the media, have no choice but to prop up Fauci, even though they know he is the captain of the Titanic. 3, elections. Do you remember on November 9th when Trump suddenly appointed Chris Miller and Ezra Cohen Watnick into their respective positions within the DoD, just acting Secretary of Defense and acting Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence, respectively? Do you remember at the Space Force 1-year anniversary when Chris Miller practically cried when he thanked VP Pence for his support in the most complex military operation this country has ever conducted? So, In just over 1 month after taking position, Chris Miller led the most complex military operation this country has ever conducted. That never sounded practical to me. That sounded fake. Planning and executing the most complex military operation this country has ever conducted does not happen in 30 days. Period. Am I saying it did not happen? Nope. I'm saying it did happen, but it wasn't 30 days. It was around 810 days. 27 months. Why 810 days? Because that is the amount of time that Ezra Cohen Watnick was sitting at a desk in Washington, D.C., working for Oracle, designing high-security cloud computing for NATO and other allied countries. The last time I checked, the United States is a member of NATO. Remember, to go truly undetected, Trump had to misdirect not only foes, but friends as well. So, in the period from November 3rd, 2020 until now, all we have been seeing, while admirable, has everything to do with mobilizing the patriots. And has it ever worked? From audits to roundups to live streams, you name it, and the people are participating and more by the day. I'm not going to go into my 81 million vote theory because it's neither here nor there, plus we know where I stand. But I want to talk about the following. Do you know what the following companies have in common? Payoneer, Ciota, Soluto, RSA Security. The answer is all 4 companies run on Oracle software and security platforms. Do you know what else these companies have in common? All 4 were either co-founded or heavily invested in by this man. Who is this man? Naftali Bennett, new Prime Minister of Israel. In the first image below from Bennett's wiki page, you see one small example of how he is raking in a fortune through technology ownership and investments in companies like Payoneer. In the second image, you can see how Oracle is core to the success of Payoneer. Take your word for it, St. Richie. If Benjamin Netanyahu was on a first-name basis with Safra Catz, Oracle CEO, then I can guarantee you that Naftali Bennett is on speed dial because both parties have all the financial and political incentive in the world. Elections have consequences. 4. Technological infrastructure. Once upon a time, there were 2 scientists. These scientists had become world-renowned to the point that they developed an arrogance that was unimaginable. So one day they approached God and said, God, we will challenge you to a contest. In this contest, we will create a human being and you will create a human being and we'll let the people decide who created the better one. God says, very well. The scientists say, since man was originally made from dirt, we will use that as a starting point. Once again, God says, very well. So the scientists hand God a bucket of dirt and themselves a bucket of dirt. And once again, God speaks and says, hold on a second, you're going to need to make your own dirt. There is nothing more gratifying than being able to say you made something from scratch, even if it's something as simple as my favorite, cream of wheat. We've discussed Oracle's technology footprint, which is massive, 49 data centers in 22 states and 38 global data centers in 27 countries, and growing constantly. And this footprint is what will be the backbone for the Patriots in the current and coming cyber war. Do you remember these videos? I do. One was a Zoom video of Congressman Louis Gohmert, and the other was security analyst Russ Ramsland. And I remember at the time they contained some pretty odd claims. The claim was that the U.S. Army intelligence had seized servers from a company called Seitel, and these servers were located in Frankfurt, Germany. This claim was also put forth by Sidney Powell. What I found to be very odd, even at the time, was two things. For one, seizing servers is about as old school as you can possibly get in terms of trying to get your hands on data. The US cyber capabilities would never require having to physically touch a server in order to retrieve data from it. So that made no sense. The second thing that made no sense was that Gohmert, Ramsland, and Powell all had nearly identical comments in terms of who might have seized the servers. Ramsland said he wasn't positive if it was white hats or black hats. Gohmert said he didn't know, but it could have been the CIA trying to cover their tracks. And Powell said she wasn't sure if it was the good guys or the bad guys. This all seemed so desperate and stupid, to be frank. The company, Seitel, released a statement affirming having a data center in Frankfurt, stating it was closed in September 2019. Maybe it's just me, but that story seems planted. What is not fiction is that Oracle's first data center outside of the US opened in Frankfurt, Germany in 2017. Just some food for thought. 5. Little Golden Nugget. Do you remember issue 24 when I talked about my former colleague John, who got himself into some hot water? Well, as it turns out, there really isn't much to that story in terms of his direct involvement with any of the topics we cover on this live stream. Basically, he had set up a small voice-over IP call center and was routing those calls to a hub in Alpharetta, Georgia. But the investigation stopped there. Here is the nugget. I finally got him on the phone and tried to ease his mind by letting him know that I knew what was going on, and he and I both knew the company would not be pursuing legal action. He talked about how I was not the only person from our company that had reached out to him. He mentioned that he didn't realize so many people would be so interested in his job with the governor's office. So we chatted for a little while longer about this and that, and here is how I ended the conversation. I said, listen, I know you're not involved in any of this, but you and I both know that if you're leading their cybersecurity arm, then you can tell me that if I'm seeing smoke, there must be fire somewhere. Is there fire? Total silence. Keep in mind, we know each other quite well. So I knew his silence meant something, but I wasn't quite sure what, because trust me, this is a man of many words. So he changed the topic to, of all things, his 30th wedding anniversary. I said, did you do anything special? He says, yes, we went to Cancun, but it was a little bit of a downer because of the COVID restrictions. What he said next was what he was wanting to tell me but could not. I have a particular communication style that somehow causes people to open up, even if just a little. I'm telling you, it was code talk, straight out of a James Bond movie. It made the last 7 months worth every second. Very deliberately, he said, you know what? I said, what? I bought my wife a new necklace. It was sterling silver. I said, I'm sure she loves it. He said, yes, she does. Take care of yourself, I said. You too, man. Game over. And that's the latest from St. Richie, my friends. For those of you who don't know, Gabriel Sterling was one of the ringleaders of selling Georgia to the Democrats. Gabriel Sterling was the Undersecretary of State for Georgia, something like that. Sterling, Gabriel Sterling, the ringleader, the guy who's really going to be paying. Sterling is a traitor. Yes. So John, whose name I actually know, kind of proud. I don't know St. Richie's name, but I know this guy's name. I think we're close to the end, aren't we, guys? Gabe Sterling. He was the one who came out to that press conference and said, everybody just needs to stop calling our offices. Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to know where that guy is. I would very much like to know where that guy is. I bought my wife something. It's sterling silver. Just pull it back up real quick. So the question is, he said to him before this, he said, listen, I know you're not involved in any of this, but you and I both know that if you're leading their cybersecurity arm, then you can tell me that if I'm seeing smoke, then there must be fire somewhere. Is there fire? So here's a good question for you guys. Is this guy John, who was running a crooked little operation using company resources for a very big company with IT resources, he was let go, but no criminal proceedings took place, but he was doing work for Governor Kemp. Do you think he's a good guy or a bad guy? You know what I wish we could do? I wish we could interview St. Richie. But in any event, the St. Richie's works have to be put into a book. You realize books are coming. I'm going to be publishing your books. We're going to make Reading Epic Threads publishing. You realize that has to happen now, right? Matthew Trump, John's story. How does anyone stay informed without listening to Reading Epic Threads? Guys, we are seriously hardcore in the freaking eye of the storm. And I love the fact that we're up to consistently 150 people coming in here concurrently live, and then a couple thousand actually seeing the videos. I don't see any reason to make it any bigger than that. I'm not greedy. And I like the quality of this crowd so much. Dude, that's not funny, Olenek. Are you a robot? Have you ever heard of R. Daniil Olival from the I hope Olenek, you better not be a robot. That would just be uncool. All right. You know what it's time for, guys? We have a certain person who goes by the name of Special Ops Kim. And I think it's about time we got to a little Special Ops Kim. Is St. Richie in the crowd right now? Obviously, we need to take the St. Richie stuff and put those into a book. We need to take all of the Reading Epic Threads poems. Obviously, Claude Bernardin, the most prolific poet I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it's like freaking Edgar Allan Poe levels of prolificness. So yeah, St. Richie. I hope that's not the last issue you ever write, because I mean, we need more St. Richie. This is not like, part 2 of the Deathly Hallows. This needs to be an ongoing thing, if you please, because you're getting a little bit addictive. You know what I'm saying? I even know that dude's name. He has this long Indian name, and it's a more common name than you could possibly imagine, even though it looks uncommon. It might not be Indian either. I don't know. Hope I didn't just dox you. Anyway, Special Ops Kim, email entitled, he was there January 6th. Brett L. Tolman, Executive Director of Right on Crime, former U.S. Attorney, government reformer, proud Cherokee. Let's take a look at this guy. Looks like a white guy to me. Anyway, whatever. Weekend cowboy. All right, good for you, bro. All right, here we go. Brett L. Tolman. And Kurt Schlichter retweeted this. That guy's a freaking savage. I love Kurt Schlichter. This is false. A blatant misrepresentation unsupported by their own data. Oh, yeah. Merrick Garland says, in the FBI's view, the top domestic violent extremist threat comes from racially or ethnically motivated violent extremists. Specifically, yeah, okay. White supremacy is the real threat. Brett continues. They are including the hundreds of misdemeanor trespassers charged from January 6th in their definition of increased domestic terrorism. They are not counting the relatively few BLM Antifa riot prosecutions. I represent one of the January 6th defendants, a teacher. No criminal history or intent, was welcomed into the Capitol through open doors 2 hours after first forced entry. Only been in one other state capital, which was open to the public and no secure areas. Didn't see broken windows or toppled gates. Thought it was fine walking inside, walked around, took no photos, said nothing, touched nothing, then left. Now being pressured to plead guilty, hand over phone so the FBI can trace movements and give the government the clothes worn on January 6th. If he complies, government will recommend no jail time. If not, then jail. All decisions are coming from D.C. and no room to negotiate. No individualized analysis of case or criminal intent or lack thereof of the defendant. My client is the furthest thing from a domestic terrorist. Guys, the only reason that I am not being prosecuted is because I was hungry, my feet were numb, and I had to pee. I went to a barbecue place instead of the Capitol. I don't know how that many people weren't like, I'm getting out of here. This is freaking cold. It's horrifying, guys. All right. X22 says they are projecting because they are white and are the biggest threat to our country. Wow, what a great freaking point. You know, the funny thing is, I said this years ago, well, during this war, of course, but I said, you know something? They're right. White people really are the problem. It's just that they're the white people who are the problem. It is so true. Guys, the thing is, you will find that it is true, in my opinion, that the most racist people in the world are indeed white, but they are the white anti-racists. They are by far the most racist people in the world. They are, and it's an example of projection. Okay, good news of the week from Special Ops Kim, CJ Truth Official. Here is your good news of the week. We are winning on so many fronts. There will be many more wins, so take courage. 1. President Trump is holding rallies again. The first one will be Saturday, June 26th in Cleveland. He will be throwing his support behind former White House aide Max Miller, who is seeking to primary Rhino Congressman Anthony Gonzalez. Gonzalez was one of 10 GOP House members who voted for impeachment in January. 2. President Trump will join Texas Governor Greg Abbott on an official visit to the southern border June 30th. He hopes his visit will, quote, shine a spotlight on these crimes against our nation and show the incredible people of ICE and Border Patrol that they have our unshakable support. 3. The truth continues to come out about January 6th. Senator Ron Johnson, Republican of Wisconsin, and his staff have reviewed surveillance footage and found 38% of the approximately 800 people who entered the Capitol walked peacefully through an opened doorway in front of 5 officers. Senator Johnson is pushing to interview those officers. 4. Representative Paul Gosar, Republican of Arizona, grilled FBI Director Wray about January 6th and entered the Revolver News article into the record with unanimous consent. This article lays out the case that federal officials infiltrated and incited January 6th protests. 5. Congressman Matt Gaetz, Republican of Florida, called on FBI Director Wray to fully disclose the role and involvement of FBI operatives on January 6th. 6. Brave people continue to expose mainstream media corruption. During a live segment, Fox reporter Ivory Hecker accused Fox News of censoring her. She had secretly recorded her bosses at Fox, directing her to squelch her stories, including one about the effectiveness of hydroxychloroquine in treating COVID-19. In an interview with Project Veritas, she accused Fox of caring more about their corporate sponsors than about telling people the truth. 7. A Fulton County, Georgia election official admitted that ballot drop box transfer forms are missing for almost 19,000 absentee ballots. There is no record of how these ballots got from point A to point B. Fulton is now the 4th county in Georgia under investigation for failing to produce chain of custody documentation. 8. The Biden administration announced an investigation into NIH grants, including the funding Dr. Fauci approved for the Wuhan lab. 9. Arizona Governor Doug Ducey issued an executive order that protects the rights of public college and university students. Under the executive order, students cannot be mandated to get the jab, show a vaccine passport, wear a mask, or be tested for COVID-19 in order to attend classes. 10. A Florida appeals court has ruled that body autonomy is a fundamental right and that all mask mandates, past and present, are unconstitutional. According to this ruling, any mask mandate targeting the unvaccinated would also violate the Constitution. This ruling is expected to reverberate throughout the country. 11. Mike Pompeo launched a political action committee called Champion American Values PAC to help conservatives win in 2022. His goal is to elect the most conservative electable candidate at all levels, whether it's school board, city council, or a United States Senate seat. 12. Less than a third of voters believe Biden's claim that global warming is America's greatest threat, and few are willing to pay more taxes in order to fight it. 13. A federal judge has blocked Biden's race-based loan forgiveness program that excluded white farmers. Wow. The judge cited a previous court ruling that stated government policies that classify people by race are presumptively invalid. 14. Comedian Jon Stewart went on Colbert's Late Show Monday night and used his entire time to insist that COVID-19 originated in the Wuhan lab and to mock claims that it originated naturally. 15. The best news is that we are invited to approach God's throne of grace with confidence so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help us in our time of need. Hebrews 4:16. Hat tip to Dan and here from Good News of the Week. And thank you again, Special Ops Kim. Now, an email from our very own Chris Ranney. I wanted to get to this. Dear Patrick, I do not expect you to read this to our group. Haha, but I'm gonna. But I wanted you to know what has been occupying my time these last few months. There have been many times that I have the impulse to write about a number of issues, but simply have not had the time. I've not had the time because I have helped to organize a group that is working on our corner of Iowa. We call ourselves Free Speech America. We have been holding monthly meetings for our community to educate, inspire, and activate other patriotic Americans to defend their free speech rights, as well as other constitutional principles. I have been spending about 25 hours per week in this endeavor, as I have been voluntold by my team that I am the chairperson of our ragtag little group. I wanted to share about the response that we have seen to our organized events. People are showing up in droves, wanting to gather with like-minded Americans who are terrified as they see the erosion of our freedoms. We are currently in the throes of planning a 4th of July celebration, including professional fireworks, live bands, food trucks, bounce houses, and other activities you would find at a summer event in Iowa. We are expecting somewhere around 3,000 to attend. Interspersed with our fun music and family-friendly comedian, we will be proclaiming our ongoing message, charging Americans with responsibility to stand up, speak out, and work like hell to fight back against the obvious and open attempts by our enemy to destroy it. One of our goals is to help other counties and communities to organize similar efforts in their part of the state. I am taking General Flynn's directions seriously. I am doing all that I can locally to save my country. I cannot make a dent in the federal scene, but I sure can move the dial in my city, my county, and God willing, my state. I absolutely adore our community. Like you, I no longer watch any mainstream media. All of my information comes from your channel, as well as other like-minded channels. I find myself at the point of exhaustion at least once a week, trying to juggle a busy life already with the time committed to our efforts. You and your content contributors help to revive my spirit, encourage my heart, and impel me to fight another day. I cannot thank you all enough for all that you do for me. Much love and affection, Chris. And thank you so much, Chris, for doing what you're doing. Get me more information about that event you're planning. Maybe I can get there. I mean, we'll see. But, oh, by the way, to support events that I'm going to be covering, paypal.me/Bitcoin Armada. You guys have been amazing where that is concerned. So I very much appreciate it. And another way to support this channel and to support Patriot-owned businesses, angelpaste.com, promo code Shapiro, invented by my sister to treat eczema and scars. She worked for a cosmetic surgeon. It's good for after surgery. All right, what do you say we do a little bit of poetry? We're going to do from Claude Bernardin, In God We Trust. It doesn't take a prophet. It doesn't take a saint. It doesn't take an artist's hand to paint a beautiful, beautiful day. Just look around your darkest cloud, and you better hide your eyes from its golden rays. Yeah, I just thank the Lord. I'm still here for another beautiful, beautiful sun day. Thank the Lord. I'm still here for another beautiful, beautiful Sunday. It doesn't take a poet. It doesn't take a rake. It doesn't take a sinner or a winner to roll back the layers of faith. To search for the mystery, you got to look deeper inside and let go of the hate. Yeah, I just thank the Lord. I'm still here for another beautiful, beautiful sun day. I can see it in puppies and kittens, sunflowers and apple cake. I can see it in a pink sunset, in a flag waving on a garden gate. I can hear it in the morning birds and the words that so many pray. In God we trust. In God we trust. No more lies, no more hate. Yeah, I just thank the Lord. I'm here for another beautiful, beautiful Sunday. You can keep your darkness, keep your shadows. I've thrown away my pain. You can spit your anger like cynical devils or pick up a brush and paint. Every man needs a hand and a rainbow, a little step closer to the answer of faith. Yeah, I just thank the Lord. I'm here for another beautiful, beautiful Sunday. Yeah, I just thank the Lord. I'm still here for another beautiful, beautiful sun day. That's the poem from Claude. Once again, thank you for your brilliance, sir. I don't have my cooperandfrench.com promo code Shapiro, so I'm obviously not going to be shaving tonight. So let's just check out the chat. Oh, Mermaid Miss K says she loves the symbols video. I love the symbols video too. Kristen S., I sent you an email with JB copied on it. He had a question about that, and I know that you know the answer off the top of your head, so I forwarded it to you with JB CC'd on the email. Just a little reminder to check your email if you haven't already. All right, Joe Pappas, nice to hear from you, dear. All right, Gwen Moody, nice to hear from you. How's everybody doing? All right, we got a nice little crowd going on in here. All right. So I think that's all we've got for today. Is there anything I'm missing, guys? Just want to make sure. Real quick, the Patrick Gunnels Telegram channel. For the love of God, please join the Patrick Gunnels Telegram channel. Juliet, I'm at a friend's house. We're having a movie marathon, and so I'm just stepping aside, doing my stream, and then going to go back to watching really good stuff. A lot of Buffy, a lot of Lord of the Rings. It's good times. All right. Is Trump coming to the Texas border soon? June 30th, Dabney Delcon, a.k.a. Dolinik Olenik. All right. Is there anything else I'm missing, guys? Because we got crazy amounts of stuff going on, and I know I'm going to leave something. I always forget something. So, guys, you really need to check out Project Veritas, like big time. Ivory Hecker is the first shoe to drop. She's a Fox 26 Houston reporter who has come out and just recorded the shit out of the absolute slime balls at Fox, telling her, don't you dare talk about hydroxychloroquine social media, blah, 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 blah. She's obviously a conservative. I've looked into her. I'm going to try to get her on this channel, guys. Like, I want to get her in an interview on this channel. Based in Houston. Just support her if you can. So it's going to be givesendgo.com/support Ivory. Let me just send that. Givesendgo.com. Damn it, sorry. Hang on. Givesendgo.com/support Ivory. Make sure I got that right. Givesendgo.com/support Ivory. Yes. Okay, good. We're in good shape. That's it. If you could just send her a little bit there. The reason I say that is because the more money she ends up getting from this, the more it's going to embolden other people in the mainstream press, especially local press, who are trusted more by their communities, to come out and say, hey, these organizations are criminal organizations. Hey, Patrick, try a serious one, canceling patriotism. Okay, here we go, guys. I'm going to do canceling patriotism. A poem by Claude Bernardin. Canceling patriotism. I hung up a flag today, but it had a long hanging, unsightly, loose thread. So I pulled on it and yanked on it until I tore it to shreds. Forward that one over to Jill. Thank you for that one, Claude. That is very somber. Very Ezra Pound or William Carlos Williams. Sending, bam. All right, very nice. She's being interviewed by Tim Pool right now. Well, maybe she could work her way down to our little community. Tim Pool is a total retard. Whatever. I don't even understand it. How does Tim Pool, who is dumb, draw such a giant audience? Is it just that he keeps cranking out videos forever? Because I've only been doing this since, I've only been making these live streams since January, like right before January 6th. So I don't know. We will see. I wonder if her siblings are named Red, White, and Blue. I have a funny feeling her siblings are all the color of ivory. All right. You girls, don't forget, we guys tend to get distracted. Some of us emailed her directly for you. That's awesome. And I really hope that works, because Tim Pool runs his mouth. Tim Pool is boring. He's just boring. And he's got this vocal quality to him. It's very hard on the ear. Yeah, that reporter said others are contacting her. Expect copycats. Yeah. Mermaid Miss K. As always, you come up with the exact fucking right word. He's pedestrian. That's exactly right. We might have already gone through this little back and forth. Yeah. All right. Guys. I think our evening has come to an end. AstroDB97, thank you so much for following me on Twitch. I love getting Twitch follows. Oh, wait, one more thing from Kim. I can barely operate Gab, but I did find this from JB White. Mindy Robinson on Gab. Dear President Trump. Maybe almost missed this, guys. Sorry about that. So, dear President Trump, at first, I was highly disappointed that you didn't sign the Insurrection Act and settle this illegitimate coup when you could. Now I realize the media would have done everything they could to paint you as a dangerous tyrant and turn the world against you, as opposed to what they'd been doing for the past 4 years. We had to see it for ourselves, the true colors of the swamp from both establishments. They did every single destructive anti-American thing we said they would do, that they swore up and down would never happen. They fleeced American taxpayers like never before. They went after every God-given constitutional right we had, from our guns, our freedom of speech, our right to attend church, our right to assemble and protest their tyranny, and our medical freedom. They persecuted honest Americans while allowing BLM and Antifa to violently roam free. They shoved hateful, racist, and self-loathing indoctrination down our children's throats. They allowed murderers, rapists, gangbangers, and child sex traffickers to openly cross our unprotected border while they sat safe behind their armed security and their mansion gates. We are completely censored, silenced, suppressed, and scattered all over the place. The FBI came to my house, interrogated all of my friends, and to this day, many of us are sitting in jail without bail or a trial for entering a building that most people were let into. We lost our Facebooks, our Twitter, and everything we ever had or shared on them. There's proof of corruption and election theft everywhere, but the people in charge of investigating it are the ones committing it, and they are not going to incriminate and indict themselves. Even the non-political people are waking up now. They're watching these crooks line their pockets with money laundering book deals, insider stock trading, and foreign kickbacks while burdening us with a crushing debt neither we nor the generations who follow will ever get out of. They let the guy that created the virus cover up his crimes, lie to us about lockdowns and masks working, and then strip us of every single freedom we hold dear, and for no reason other than to make corporations and big pharma more money, to backdoor radical leftist policies under the guise of public safety, to destroy our economy, to help usher in socialism, and to control every inch of our lives that they can. America is awake now. We have stepped up across the nation to unite as patriots, to demand audits, to expose the truth, and to fight like hell for our country. Nothing matters until our votes matter again. And when they do, we are going to purge our country of this evil crime syndicate once and for all. They tried to distract us by stirring hate, racism, and division, so we didn't realize that the enemy was them. The murderous reign of the deep state is coming to an end. Now is the time of the great awakening. My friends, I believe that's the perfect thing to end on. To support my continued reporting at various new events, paypal.me/Bitcoin Armada. The money you send to this channel will be used to go to new events and to support the work that I do. I really appreciate the support that I do get. You guys have been amazing. Don't forget, angelpaste.com, promo code Shapiro. Get the lotion. It's just food-grade plant oils. Your skin will drink it right up. Get the sugar scrub. Get the spray that you spray on your skin. It is an antiseptic, but it does not dry anything out. It's just hydrolyzed water. It's brilliant, incredible stuff. So, guys, thank you so much yet again. Thank you for helping me to have a wonderful stream. Thanks to your help. And let us pray. Saint Michael, the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray, and do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, cast into hell Satan and all evil spirits who prowl about the world seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. I love you all. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you tomorrow. I will be the greatest president that God ever created. Look, I'm really rich. Bye, guys.